Hey class, happy Wednesday. Just a short check-in to discuss our week 6 assignment. I just posted some information for you, and I'll post this video as well. Posted some links in the assignment or the announcements to help you with our week 6 paper. Make it a little bit easier for you. I do encourage you to use the library. Lots of great resources in the databases at the library, and I encourage you to check into that. Use those databases to do a little research on race inequality. Our discussion this week. So first, before we get started, just a note real quick, tell you thank you very much for your great work on the discussions and the papers. You're doing a great job. I'm trying to work with you a little bit on first the material, and then obviously with writing in APA. I'd encourage you to use Word, use spell check, a similar program to check your grammar and spelling before you submit your papers. And what I always encourage students to do is not to submit the assignments directly into Engage. Don't write them in there, but go into spell check or Pages or whatever you use, or Word or Pages or whatever. Use spell check, check your grammar, and then copy and paste. Now I want you to do that in Times New Roman 12-point font. Sometimes when you copy and paste it over, it does look a little weird. I get it. I understand. May make a comment about it, but I understand it, and I typically don't deduct points for that because I'm aware. But I do want you to develop all your work in Times New Roman 12-point font, please. Okay, and on your papers, don't use any fancy graphics. Don't make 28 block font or any of that. Don't put the logos on, none of that. Just a standard old very simple paper. It's black and white. You only follow those that paper example that I shared with you on an APA paper. Take a look at the examples that I posted in the announcements to help you with the discussions. That is what your discussion should look like. Please avoid using conjunctions: aren't, ain't, isn't, wouldn't, couldn't. Just spell out the word. Try to avoid using any acronyms, so just spell out the word so that we all understand it. And what I want you to do is not be in a hurry. Sometimes it's this class is pretty busy. It's a long class. It's whole semester long. We get busy. We have other things going on. We got to pay the bills. You know, we want to go to Starbucks or something. I like Starbucks. We want to go somewhere. We want to do something else besides sitting and talking about sociology. Now, week 6, you get tired. You know, you're tired. It's cold and nasty outside. I mean, you know, we're all ready for the beach and the sunshine. And so it's easy to get in a hurry, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to take your time. I want you to take your time to develop your post using the examples, the tips that I've previously shared, and just go slow. Check your spelling. Support your work with lots and lots of citations and references following APA. What I want you to do is write your discussions and write your papers so that the reader next door, a 78-year-old, and I'll just pick a number, 78-year-old lady next door who knows absolutely nothing about our topics, you can take the paper to her and she can read it and understand what you're saying. I always encourage you to have someone else to look over it. I have the rule of threes. And the rule of threes is I try to get 3 other people to take a look at it and comment, mark it up, and then give it back to me. And if they don't like it, they mark it up in 98% of the things in red. Instead of being mad at them, I appreciate them because, you know, they caught some errors that need to be addressed. So remember the rules of threes. And please use the feedback. You know, I found that students that use my feedback in the papers and the discussions and address those feedbacks in future assignments tend to finish the class with an A. The students who do not do that, the grade is not so high because they just keep doing what they have been doing and they're not using my feedback. My goal is to help you. I'll move mountains if I have to try to help you with this. With assignments and learning material, and then, of course, writing in APA. And you hear me harp about it, you hear me talk about APA, and you think, man, why is this so important? Why are we talking about APA? I want to know about sociology. I just have to have this class, you know, because they told me I had to have it. I guarantee you, that if you take the time now to learn the material, to learn your writing, to hone your writing skills, and learn APA, as you move forward in your career, your academic career, it'll be so much easier on you, because it does not get any easier as you go forward. It does not get any easier at all. Some of the papers are more stringent when it comes to APA. Some professors do not allow anything beyond a 3 or 4 grammatical errors or APA errors in your paper. And so it's best to use that feedback now to help you and practice. Take that extra time. And again, I'm very much aware of being overwhelmed. I've been where you are. Guaranteed, I've been where you are. I didn't come up through academia. I worked till I was old and 35 before I ever went to college. I had a career before I ever set foot in the classroom. And so I get it. I understand your pain. It's so much easier to do it now when you're young and grasp this despite all the things you have going on than it is when you get old and have grandkids and try to do a doctorate or anything else. It's so much harder. So take the time now, just breathe, take a little, I'm talking 2 or 3 extra minutes. Get some Starbucks or something and sit down and look over those discussions on those papers, check your spelling, make sure you're on point with the material. Don't just write some stuff, guy. Stay on point with the material and use my feedback to help you in the future. All right, our discussion this week. So where we're going to be at in 2025. We know that in our world there's lots of inequalities. We know that females don't get paid as much as males in some cases. We still have some issues with race. Lots of things going on in our world. And I can tell you it's been that way since I've been a child. Growing up in the South is a lot bit different. Lots of racial inequalities. Where I live at, luckily we don't have that here that I'm aware of. It's not anything that I'm familiar with, not anybody I know. Everybody just sort of treats everybody equally, and we're nice to one another, and we help each other. But it's not that way everywhere. And like I said, growing up on a cotton farm in the South, certainly I did not see that. We were all friends and family and that sort of thing. We took care of each other there as well. But when you get to communities up the road, you didn't see that at all. You didn't see that equality. And we still don't see it today. You just have to turn the news on, pick the newspaper up, read HuffPost. You can see it on Facebook. Everybody's mad about something. There's racial disparity. People don't get paid equally. So how do we deal with that? Is it going to get better now? Do you think in 2025 those things will get better? So on one side of that, it seems to be getting better because we have the Me Too movement. We have, protest against law enforcement. We have a lot of things going on. So sort of a citizens uprising, if you will. People saying, hey, it's not fair, life's not fair, let's make it all equal, and let's just all get along and treat people with respect as we should, pay them like we should pay them. It doesn't matter what you look like and what gender you are, let's treat everyone equally. Well, so you see those changes that are taking place now. Are they effective? Are they short-lived, meaning that eventually this will go away, and by 2025 we're going to be exactly where we were? So let's take a historic look, a step back, before we look into the future. I want you to consider where we were. Now, I was born, you have to remember, I'm old, so y'all quit laughing. You have to remember, when I was born, my school was still integrated. And so, of course, I didn't know any different. Didn't matter to me. People were just people, and that's how my parents raised me. We were all just nice to each other. We all played together. Didn't matter to me what you looked like or whatever, and that's the way my classmates were. But we were still integrated. So a lot of those things that were happening in the 60s, from the hippie revolution after Vietnam, all those things are going on. So my point is, we have seen historically the changes. Crossing the bridge in Montgomery with Dr. King. We've seen a lot of progress. Laws have changed so that we can have better equality, which we should have. Everybody should be treated fairly and equal. It shouldn't matter what you look like or what sex or race you are or whatever. We're just people. As my grandmother would say, we all just people, and we should all treat each other fairly and equally. So if you look back, take a look historically at some of the changes that have taken place, and then take a look at where we are today. You have to do a little bit of research. I've given you some links on that. Use the library to do some research. And then project where you think we're going to be in 2025. Is it better? Are we still going to have problems? Are we not going to have problems? Is it all going to be okay by 2025? Well, that's 2019. That's just 6 years. So do you think we're going to progress in 6 years to a point where we've addressed those inequalities enough so that life is 100% better than it is today in 2019? And that's what I want you to share, and I want you to be honest with me. And I ask that you step out of your comfort zone when discussing that. Our assignment this week, step out of your comfort zone. Don't just look at your family. Don't just look at your culture, the society that you live in, your friends, family, etc. Don't just look at that. I want you, because I think what happens is sometimes, if we don't see those things, we don't experience it, we have a different experience than someone else, and then we share those thoughts, it can be skewed a bit because it's not a true picture. Now, it may be a true picture in where we live in your little group, but not of society as a whole. And so I ask that you potentially go ask someone else this question. What do you think we'll be in 2025? Ask your friends. You may know someone that's had some disparities. You may know someone that doesn't get paid as much as their male counterpart. Maybe some religious disparities. Go ask them what their opinion is, and then use our library, use those links that I provided in the announcements. And those are just to get started links. I want you to spend some time. Don't just use those. I want you to spend some time on this question in the discussions, and of course the paper that we have this week, on racial disparities, inequality, gender equality, etc. Spend some time on that. Find out what the world thinks, not just what we think, and then of course you can share your own on your own views. For example, in the paper, you can say, well, this is how I see it, or in a discussion, this is what I see, but this is what research indicates. This is what I'm finding in the research. I did a personal interview. APA allows for personal communication. You can find that in those resources. I got something on my foot here. I thought it was a cat. You can use those resources and find out what the research says about our topic this week, and then share your personal communication in APA format, and tell us what your friend said, or your pastor, or a social worker, a psychologist, someone that you may know. Doesn't have to be a book, but just think about it. Make sure that your paper this week is 1 to 2 pages. There's a little discrepancy there in the email versus the assignment instructions. I just changed those to make it a little bit easier. So you can go over if you want to, but please make sure you have the title page. Page numbers running head. The H is lowercase. Look at that sample paper that I have to help you with your assignments. And then, of course, the discussion examples. Take a look at that example that I've shared with you in the assignment or the announcements to make sure that your discussion posts are correct. Make sure you respond to more than the minimum of number of your peers in order to earn 100%. So if you just respond to 1 or 2 of your peers, obviously we want you to respond to 3. I'd like to see you go that extra mile, but it's more about the quality of the post than it is the quantity. I'm interested in what you have to say, how you say it, and how it's supported with research and text citations, references, correct grammar, etc. I'm more interested in the quality of the post, but try to follow those instructions. So, good job. Lots of weeks left. I want you to take a break after this. Get your papers, get your discussions in. Take a little bit of a break, and then we'll get back to it. If you need my help, I want you to call me, email me, send a text, reach out. We can visit via Skype. We can visit using the big blue button, which is Adobe. Lots of ways to connect with me, so just let me know what you want to do. We can have some one-on-one sessions via video, whatever I can do to support you. I'll move mountains to help you. So keep rocking. You're doing a great job. I want you to know I'm proud of you. Don't give up. Don't get tired. If you get tired, you need to vent, you're having a bad day, pick the phone up, call me, and I'll talk to you, or I'll just listen. And I'll do everything I can to help you. So have a great week. Spend about 15 minutes and know you're tired of hearing me talk. I'll see you in the discussions. Read a book, read the material. If you need me, let me know. Have a great rest of the week.